2.
Welcome.
This is Jan coming to you from the Oklahoma City Bee Sew-In. Kaylin's here with me. Hi, Kaylin.
Hi.
So we are going to talk today about directional sewing.
Okay.
And it just so happens that I'll be talking about sewing feet while I'm talking about directional sewing.
Sure.
But I'm also going to show you a few little tips and tricks about threading your machine that I just think people always already know those things, but it's never a bad idea to just reiterate something because you don't know who doesn't already know something.
That's fair.
So we're going to go over something.
Okay.
One thing is, you'll come in nice and close here, Miss Kaylin.
Here I come.
All right, so whenever we thread or unthread a machine, there's a right and a wrong way to get that done.
Okay.
So what you don't want to do is you don't want to take off your spool cap and then take your thread and pull it back up out of the machine.
Okay.
Right? Machines are designed for thread to go this way through the machine, not that way through the machine.
Okay.
It's kind of like if you were driving down the highway and you threw your car into reverse while you're going forward.
That sounds like a
your
dangerous
transmission would fall out. And while your transmission's not going to fall out of your sewing machine, you're not doing it any favors by pulling the thread backwards.
Definitely.
So you can it can mess with things. You can break thread off. You can get little stuff hung up in there. So the best thing you can do is if you just snip your thread here and then pull from the needle, and I snapped the foot into the and just pull it out like that.
Okay.
And I've had people say, oh, I'm wasting thread. If you really must save this piece of thread, feel free. It would be great for a little bit of handwork, but at the end of the day, this 18 inches of thread is not worth it to me to mess up my machine.
Okay.
Okay. I'd rather waste 18 inches of thread than have to pay money to get my machine serviced because I yanked my thread out backwards.
It is a lot more expensive to get the machine fixed than to throw away a foot and a half of thread.
Okay, so today I wanted to show you, we're using the N foot, and I know we have spoken about the N foot. It is N, and it is an open toe foot.
You know, because N is somewhere in that word.
Right, it's right. Open toe.
Open.
And it does have this clear plastic in here.
Okay.
But I want to show you some options of open toe feet.
Okay.
Okay. The N foot is what comes with it. This is an open toe foot, and it is the clear one, so I'll put it right there.
More fabric visibility there.
Right. And this is an open toe metal foot. Okay. And you'll see they work for the same groups of machines.
Okay.
And I'm going to get those out of there. So there's that one. It is actually a little bit easier. It is truly more open than this one is. This was open with the plastic in the way, but you can see through the plastic.
Sure.
And then this one is an open toe foot that is metal with some of the markings that are on there.
Okay.
So if you really want to be able to see clearly through all of it, then this would be a good option.
Yeah.
And then this one's a little more open here.
And it's got those red markings to help you turn your clean 1/4 inch corners and different things like that.
Right. So there are options of open toe feet. I'm actually going to use this clear one because I want to be able to see all the way through.
Okay.
So let me move these two out of the way. And all three of these are snap-on feet, which they're going to snap onto that shank right there.
Yep.
And I've always had better luck just snapping up than trying to get my presser foot to go down on it.
That's funny. I'm the opposite.
And you know, everybody has their own way of doing it. And then the other thing I want to show you is, of course, we want to use spool caps. This spool cap happens to be just slightly larger than that spool. I wouldn't want to use one that's smaller or significantly bigger. You always want to use the one that's the closest to the size of the end of the spool, but just slightly larger.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll put the spool of thread on here, and we are going to thread it because I thought it's never a bad idea to talk about how to wind a bobbin and how to thread a machine.
Sure.
This is a class 15 bobbin.
Here we come.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
You can buy aftermarket ones. What I have found is buy the ones that are the Baby Lock branded ones.
They're a stronger plastic.
They are a stronger plastic. It's like a whole molded piece. It's not going to fall apart. If you buy pre-wound bobbins, those are actually disposable bobbins. If you keep rewinding thread on it, they can pop apart. And if you've ever had one pop open while you're stitching, it's not a pretty picture.
Yeah.
And then you've also had some that they'll have like a ring that's kind of molded into the top and the bottom of it.
Okay.
It serves zero purpose from what I can tell. but it also makes the bobbin just slightly taller.
Oh, that'll be bad for your tension.
It is bad for tension. I've had people come in and go, well, these bobbins don't work. And I'm like, oh, this is an aftermarket bobbin. And it is just slightly taller, and it puts too much pressure on your bobbin plate.
Okay.
And then the thread doesn't want to do what
Go
it's supposed
around it.
to. So,
Yeah, sure.
you know, there's not that much difference in price from a branded bobbin to an aftermarket bobbin. Just go ahead and get the branded
It's
bobbin,
worth
and you
it.
know it's going to work.
Absolutely.
So when we wind a bobbin, let's come back up here. We're going to put the bobbin onto the spindle, and then you twist it till it snaps.
Yep.
Okay, you always want to hear that little snap. The dotted lines are the ones that we use whenever we're doing a bobbin.
Okay.
Okay, get some thread pulled out, and I'm going to come under here. So we're doing one with the dotted lines, and then I'm going to come over here to number 2, kind of like flossing your teeth, and then I'm going to go clockwise in this tension button, and then I'm going to come over here to the bobbin.
Okay.
And I'm going to wind it clockwise about 3 or 4 times, and then there's a little blade that's right inside here, so I can cut my thread off.
Beautiful.
And then when I snap this forward, there's a speed control down here on the chorus. So, and I always like to wind mine fast. Now, if you're doing something that is a stretchy thread at all,
Monofilament, things like that.
yeah, if you wind it too fast, it'll suck down so tight on there, you'll never get it off of your machine. So I'm going to wind that, and I'm not going to wind the whole thing. I'm actually going to wind mine probably about halfway full. If you have a Solaris Vision, it has the luxury of being able to determine how full you want it to be.
Small, medium, or large.
Right, so I'm just going to go ahead and
fill
stop
amount.
that because I don't actually need the whole thing done.
Okay.
And then I'm going to just trim my thread right there, pop that open. So let's go back over here to how to put the bobbin in. Take my bobbin plate off. We've talked about it before. It could be clockwise, it could be counterclockwise. It can be a letter P. P for perfect position. Like I say, you got a 1 in 26 chance you're going to remember that. Those are better odds than 50-50. It lays down inside there. It goes under the flipper, up over the little hill, and there's a blade right there to cut off.
Very
And then you
nice.
just put the bobbin plate back on.
And there is an illustration right here for the direction for the thread needs
right
to
there,
go.
like that.
Most of our plates are going to have that.
Yep. And then to thread the machine, now we need to untangle it from this, because this is what we were doing for bobbin tension.
Correct.
And bobbin winding.
Not
So
for
I'm going
sewing.
to take that out, and now I'm back to just having my thread.
Okay.
A couple of important things to know about about threading your machine. This machine has a wonderful needle threader on it. 2 things. Your presser foot has to be in the up position. So if you're not sure, you can put it down, put it back up. That way, this little door, I'll do that again. You see how that little door shuts? It also clamps down on all the gears. So you can't thread it and it won't sit correctly because the presser foot is down.
Okay.
Because that's what it has to be to sew. We're not trying to sew, we're trying to thread the machine. So we want this to be up.
Okay.
The other button is this needle up down button. Now, there's also a hand wheel over here on the side of the machine, and I'll see people try to do this and find that sweet spot. If you'll push this button down and back up, it goes up and settles slightly.
Yeah, and pretty much every computerized machine, at least from Baby Luck, will have that button.
Right. And so we're going to not touch the hand wheel when we're trying to thread the machine.
Okay.
Just keep your little hands off of it.
Okay.
Now we're going to thread the machine, and we're following the solid lines.
Okay.
So I'm going to come across here, and I'm going to go up and around. Now I like to put a little bit of tension on my thread right here.
I do too.
So that when I'm going through all of this, it's not a loosey-goosey thread. And then when I get down here, it goes behind number 6. Because I just followed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's number 6. There's a little V shape. There's number 7.
Okay.
So we're going to go across that.
And then
We're going to cut it off on the
back
side.
here.
And then I'm going to push my needle threader button because it's going to lower the presser foot and it's going to thread the needle.
Now, if you are on a computerized machine that does not have the fully automated one, it'll
has
still
the
have that
snap
same
button.
unit. You'll just have a lever on the side here. But you do need to make sure you lower the
Lower your
presser
presser
foot
foot.
before you run that, because that makes sure the foot is out of the way just for threading the eye of the needle.
Right. But presser foot up while we're doing all this.
Yep, and then
Presser
down
foot
to
down
yep.
to thread the eye of the needle. Easy.
Okay, easy peasy.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to use this open toe foot.
Okay, I'm gonna come in close here.
So what I'm doing here is I am.
I'm sorry for the wobbles, ladies.
I made a little I just had little 3-inch squares of fabric.
Okay.
Okay, and I just pieced them together with 1/4-inch seams. Now, you know, sometimes I do things in these videos. I sew it wrong on purpose.
Okay.
Okay.
You promise,
It
right?
goes against my grain for these seams to not match up.
Oh, boy,
So
here
when
we
you
go.
look at this, you can see here,
Oh,
I
yeah.
intentionally made it so that this
Okay.
did not match.
Okay.
Okay, and the reason I want to show you that is because we don't live in a perfect world, and sometimes seams don't match.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll try to accept that.
you do have to try and accept that. The reason we're going to do that is because over here on the machine, I'm just going to go back to utility stitching.
Mm-hmm.
We have all of these buttons over here.
Mhm.
And it might be a little bit different from one machine to the other, but we have directional sewing. So you see like a zigzag and a straight line with
Yep,
arrows.
yep.
So when we touch the directional sewing, you'll see here it can sew forward and backward, side to side, diagonally, and then on zigzag it can go forward, backward, and side to side.
Okay.
I'm dealing with straight stitching right now.
Okay.
And I want it to go forward,
Okay.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
When it goes forward, look at this again. If I had a really big quilt on this machine,
Mm-hmm.
now right now it's no big deal for me to go down here,
Rotate.
turn my fabric, sew that, turn my fabric.
But if it's
here.
a full-size quilt, that
I
would be a lot of...
I don't want to have to
Yeah,
rotate it.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I just want to be able to jump over just a
to
little
keep
bit.
stitching in the ditch correctly.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to pretend like we're on a big quilt.
Okay.
And we're going to understand why directional sewing is our friend.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm going to
watching.
slow the machine down a little bit. Can you see okay?
I think so.
Oh, that's good because I can't see what I'm doing at all.
You want me to come on the other side? Yeah, here. Ready?
Here we go.
Hang on, ladies. Close your eyes if you're real easily made nauseous. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to sew straight down. We're pretending like this is on a quilt, okay?
Mhm.
So we're going to sew down here, and I'm going right down. Okay, that's a little too slow.
And then when you get to your seam,
Now I need it to go to the right. And so now it's
and
going
you'll
to go
see, and before you do that,
stitch.
oh, okay, here.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine, keep going. I would
One
do
more
one more.
stitch?
Mhm. And so you hear it sounds kind of funny, and if you look here at your screen,
Mhm.
it actually shows, oh, let me get that focused. It actually shows the stitch going off to the right.
Right there.
Yeah.
So now we need to go forward again.
Mm-hmm.
And the needle position, I don't know if you noticed, the needle position's over here on the left. All of these are in left needle position.
Yeah.
So that if I was going side to side and everything, if it had to move, you could kind of bend your needle trying to move. It's not trying to move the needle. It's just
Right.
knowing that because I'm in directional sewing that I'm
Yeah.
changing it. So I'm going to come back down my seam.
And then, very
I think
good.
one more stitch.
Oh, okay.
And now we need to go to the left. And so right here you can see that's making it go left.
Hang
But
on,
then
there we go.
the needle didn't move over here. It's still over here in left needle position.
Mhm.
You see why I wanted the clear foot on here?
Yes, you can see, yeah, the seams as they come towards the needle. Very
And
good.
see how I landed on that spot? And we're going to
Mhm.
go forward
And
again.
then forward and back. And it looks like you missed the other direction on this one, so I think you're okay to just keep stitching
I am
forward.
okay, but like if I was going to sew sideways off this way,
Sure.
I could do that.
Sure.
But in this case, I'm just going to sew right off the edge of my.
And so that saves your stitch in the ditch kind of effort when our seams don't come together perfectly in the points that we wish.
Right,
they
but I
did.
was able to go over, down, instead of having to take a big heavy quilt,
And
rotate it
from, like,
just so I
an
could
eighth
go
of an
2
inch.
stitches and
Mhm.
rotate it back
Mhm.
and then rotate it to go another 1/16 of an inch, because even though generally speaking you want these seams to be perfectly matched, sometimes they don't.
Mhm.
But it's going to look more obvious, and if you'll come back here,
Oh, okay.
because I'm going to show you,
Backed out too soon.
I'm going to just go back to utility sewing, okay, and we're just going to go to a straight stitch. And I'm in center needle position, okay, and I am going to sew on this and show you what I've had to do when I had a big quilt on there before I had a machine that could do directional sewing. So I'm coming down here, and I had to make a decision. It's like, well, what am I going to do? I can't rotate. I don't want to have to rotate this whole thing, but I could do this, and I would say twist just a little bit, Okay, and then I'm going to come back. And then I get this little weird diagonal line that I don't really like. And it's like, okay, and then twist just a little bit. We've all done it because we don't want to have to rotate the whole quilt, but you can do a little bit of twisting in there. So again, it's not that it's a bad thing to do, but I don't want that. I would rather it. I don't want it to where it can.
There we go.
Where it's jumped over my
you don't
corner.
want to see that in your
My
quilting.
directional sewing allowed me to go
It's
sideways.
a much better mask. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Okay.
Very good.
All right. Now, the other thing that directional sewing is all about is if you go into some of these decorative stitches, and I'm just going to pick this category. I happen to know it's kind of at the end. Oops. I should have memorized what number it is. I apologize, I didn't. Is it not that category? I should have. Oh, here we go. It's these. Look how many fun stitches there are in here. Isn't it crazy how much fun there is? Oh, I lost which one I'm doing.
You've just been looking at them having fun instead
I
of
am.
trying
They're
to
all
find
so
a
much
stitch.
fun. You know, people always say, I don't know if I'm going to use all those. You know what? Why not use all of these?
Just try.
So we're going to do this one. That one looks like a big lotus flower, right? This is where directional sewing really, what else it can do. I mean, what we just showed you is one way to do this, but this is a great way to do directional sewing because do you see right here it says 25%?
So what that means is that what it's showing us on the screen right there is actually only 25% scaled down version of what the actual stitch will be.
Right.
So it's very large.
Let's watch it. And my job is I'm keeping it going parallel
Right.
to the machine.
And so we're not actually intentionally directionally stitching, it's that the machine is built to do it, to create this stitch.
The other thing about this one is I'm even going to put it at the fastest speed. It can only go just so fast.
Right.
You cannot make it
It won't
go
go faster than what
what it can stitch
needs.
because you hear it.
It's doing that kind of,
It's-
it's a funny
the-
sound if
The
you don't
feed
know
dogs
to
are
expect
moving
it.
the fabric for me. I don't have to hang on to it, but it can get kind of twisty if
Right,
I
so we
don't.
help guide.
I'm just keeping it going square. And this is really what directional sewing is all about. And then it's now just finishing up. Isn't that a great stitch?
It's a beautiful stitch. And I think it'll just keep going.
And then it goes on to the next one. I'm going to go ahead
Yeah.
and stop it and cut it because all I had to do was just keep it going parallel and it's stitched and I didn't. I'm sitting off to the side. I can't really see what I'm doing.
It's okay.
But it's a big stitch.
Yeah.
This is what directional sewing is about. Now, I do want to show you something here.
Okay.
People have asked about this, so I think it's worth talking about. This is your digital dual feed foot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to loosen the screw here. You do have to take the ankle off to put the digital dual feed foot on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put this one on from the back.
I'm just gonna give you a second to do that instead of trying to get up in there.
And it screws onto the shank.
Mm-hmm.
Tighten that down. And then it plugs into the back.
Okay. And here we're gonna watch. You'll never have to wonder which stitches will work because they will gray out. You saw that happen.
So let me unplug it and you can watch. If I unplug it, they're white. If I plug it back in, they're gray.
Right.
And that's because, and if I go back over here to utility stitch and I go to directional sewing,
They're gray.
Because the belt
Right. That belt does
can
not
only
allow...
lets things go forward and backwards.
Right.
It can't let things go sideways.
Right.
Because the belt, if the belt's engaged. Now, even if you lift up the belt, it can't do it. If it's plugged into the back and it knows it's on there, it can't do it.
Right.
I'm not going to say you should cheat the system, but if you didn't want to take the foot off, and you have the belt raised up and you unplugged it, you could use the directional sewing stitches, but it's probably safer to just go ahead and put your ankle with your regular foot back on, so you don't accidentally try to do something it's really not supposed to do. I appreciate any machine that is designed to not let you screw it up. So we talked a little bit today about directional sewing, and we talked a little bit about some of the open toe feet and how great that is. So I also want to tell you that last week's winner of the gathering foot, because I don't think it ended up getting posted online because of the holiday, so we're going to announce who it is. This is last week's winner. So Wanda Jones, you won the gathering foot.
Congratulations.
So you call whichever BSew is going to be the best one for you to be able to pick up your prize. And congratulations, we're very excited for you.
What should we give away this week?
Oh, what should we give away this week? I found this. This is the Tudo Baby Lock Notion bag in black. It is a great little baby lock bag that you can unzip, and you can put all sorts of notions in it.
Look at all
Whether
those
you put
great
tools
little
in
organizing
here,
tools.
you have a little mesh thing that unzips. It is a great little bag for carrying just a few extra tools that you might need. So we're going to have one lucky winner get this one, because remember what you need to do. You need to like, share, and comment. We love to hear where you're coming from, what you're thinking about, what you're sewing on, what you're learning from our videos. And one of you is going to win this. So if you can please like, share, or comment by 5 p.m. on Thursday, we will have a drawing for the lucky winner on this one. Now, another thing I want to show you about is we do have kids camp going on, and for some of you, maybe your kiddos don't live nearby, or you have grandkids and you're thinking, well, I sure would like to get something. We got some awesome books in for kids camp, and I wanted to show those to you. I have one that I know I want to grab, so you might have to beat me to the punch, okay? And my little one's only 2 years old, so I know she can't sew yet, but I know I have to plan ahead.
We'll start.
But we have My Sewing Workshop. We have the Best of Sewing Machine Fun for Kids, a kid's guide to sewing, the Kids Sewing Workshop with 26 different projects in there. And look at the fun ragdoll book.
I love the ragdoll. That's the one I
So if sewing with little ones is something you like to do, or sewing for little ones is something you like to do, we have some awesome books that you might want to check out. So call your local BSew and get you one of these great books. I want to remind you that next week is Emerald Club. It's July 18th from 1 to 3:30. And it's July 20th, which is a Saturday, from 10 to 12:30. I think we're talking about some Christmas in July sort of things.
We are.
And I know that's always fun. We have snacks, we have lessons and training and information, and we love to see what y'all are working on, so bring your show and tell with you. And then also want to remind you about the Artful Embroidery event that's coming up with Stephen Wilson. We are filling up on all 3 sessions of that. It's something that you're going to want to join us for. If you've ever wanted to take embroidery to that next level and make it be a fun artistic project, this is the right event for you. And of course, we also have a few of the gifts that Mary is bringing in for the people that are doing the pre-order sign up for the new baby lock machine, the as yet. We don't know the name and all the details about it, except for the fact that we know every time Baby Lock comes out with something, it's amazing.
That's right.
So you might as well get some free gifts along the way.
True enough.
And put down your $500 refundable deposit. We would love to hear from you. Feel free to call any one of our stores: Oklahoma City, Muskogee, Tulsa, Fayetteville, Springfield, or Humble. We look forward to hearing from you. We hope we taught you some really great things today. Thanks, Kaylin, for helping me out today.
Anytime.
And we will see you all next Tuesday. Bye.